As the head of the nonprofit Global Wellness Institute, I was invited to share with you the latest data from our Institute's 2018 Global Wellness Economy Monitor. I have a copy of it here, and you can download it from our website. To give you some background on how this rapidly growing wellness economy developed and why wellness mindset is permeating the global consumer consciousness. So what's captured the attention of many people around the world is this particular figure that currently is associated with the global wellness economy. This is data from our Global Wellness Institute, and it's this chart that shows the global wellness economy being responsible for $4.2 trillion in 2017. This is the chart that has gotten quite a bit of attention. So just how has this $4.2 trillion global wellness economy been calculated? And how does this wellness economy relate to the topics of happiness and well-being? And how is this relevant in a public policy discussion? Those are the questions I'm going to attempt to answer. So first, let me introduce you to two organizations. One is the Global Wellness Summit. This is an organization that we began 12 years ago. It's an annual invitation-only gathering that meets in a different place every year. So we've been to the US, to Switzerland, to Turkey, to Bali, to Morocco, India, Mexico, Austria, and last year we were in Italy. This year we're going to be in Hong Kong in October. And the reason I mention all these places is because we've made a real effort for the conversation about wellness to be global. The mission of the Global Wellness Summit is joining together, shaping the future. The other organization is the Global Wellness Institute, GWI for short, and that's the one I'm representing here today. It's a nonprofit, 501c3, and it's considered the leading global research and educational resource for the global wellness industry. GWI positively impacts global health and wellness by advocating for both public institutions, businesses, and individuals that are working to help prevent disease, reduce stress, and enhance overall quality of life. Its mission is to empower wellness worldwide. So there are 5 pillars to the Institute: research, initiatives, roundtables, wellnessevidence.com, which is an interesting website where you can find the actual medical evidence for a lot of the wellness modalities, or the lack of medical evidence. And the 5th pillar is the Wellness Moonshot, a world free of preventable disease. So let's look at the research first, because that's really the foundation of the Institute's work. Beginning 11 years ago, when we first hired SRI International, which was founded as Stanford Research Institute, for our first research study, we have continued to invest a sizable amount commissioning various research studies each year. The results have contributed greatly as a guiding light for the emerging wellness economy. And one of our senior research directors is here today, Ophelia Young. I don't know where she is exactly. Oh, there she is. Why don't you just put your hand up so people will know? She has been working with these numbers for over 10 years now. And so if you have any particular questions on the numbers, Ophelia can answer them for you. I'm happy to say that we made a decision over a decade ago that rather than selling the research to what would most likely have been a limited number of companies with resources and the vision to see its values, we decided to give it away for free. And as a result, that has helped the industry grow and has helped and continues to help investors and other stakeholders make more informed decisions. So by the way, all of these studies that you see here, they are all on the website and you can download them for free. So our initial economic study, we went to explore, and we started with that, and after that, we went on to explore a variety of topics with subsequent research reports. In 2010, the research focused on wellness. That's the year we did a deep dive into its history, the roots of it, the opportunities. That was 2010. In 2013, we pioneered the first study on wellness tourism, identifying not only an industry separate and apart from medical tourism, but also proposing that it be looked at in terms of two sectors: primary wellness travelers and secondary wellness travelers. In 2015, our research focused on the future of wellness at work, which is becoming obviously a more important topic these days. And in 2017, the GWI introduced the concept of wellness lifestyle real estate, citing over 700 projects around the world that are designing and building with health and wellness in mind. And by the way, projects here in Dubai with Healthcare City and Dubai Sustainable City initiatives are mentioned in that report. And we're happy that even the emphasis here on the quality of life and happiness has given those even more visibility. Just very quickly, this is the definition we use for the term wellness. Wellness is the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. Now, back to this chart. You'll notice that there are 10 sectors, and the size of the bubble, we call this our bubble chart, is in relationship to the size of the economy and how it compares to the others. So the largest bubble, you will see, is beauty, personal care, and anti-aging, followed by healthy eating, nutrition, and weight loss, followed closely by wellness tourism, and then fitness, mind, body. The smaller bubbles are workplace wellness, thermal and mineral springs, the spa economy, and wellness lifestyle real estate. In the middle is traditional and complementary medicine, as well as preventative and personal medicine and public health. I would say that the research that we have done in this particular chart has been very helpful for those of people, and that's most people, for whom the term wellness was a bit fuzzy to start with, and this has given it some context, which has been very valuable. The sum total of these annual revenue figures added up to a huge number, 4.0 trillion in 2017. Now here's a chart showing the growth rates of the 10 sectors over the past 2 years. And during this 2-year time period, you see that the wellness economy grew 6.4% annually, which is nearly twice as fast as the global economic growth of 3.6%. And you can imagine that got people's attention. The next chart is projected annual growth rates, forecasts for the future. And while all of our segments show growth, here are the largest growths with wellness real estate at an 8% annual growth rate. Of course, they're starting from a smaller number, but nevertheless, that's quite significant. Wellness tourism, workplace wellness, thermal mineral springs, and the spa economy in that order. Now, while the previous charts are a glimpse of our most recent global wellness economy monitor, we are soon going to be offering this data by regions and by sector. So if you would like to see what the wellness economy looks like for the Middle East, or for Asia, or for Africa, you'll be able to do that. That's probably just a few weeks away from our website. So I think it is worth noting that while we were observing all this growth, we were also carefully watching other data, especially from governments and the medical arena, which helped us understand just why there was so much interest in wellness. These are just a few statistics, and you know a lot of them. The global cost of largely preventable chronic disease, reaching 47 trillion by 2030. That was from the World Economic Forum. The economic cost of smoking, nearly 2% of the world's GDP. Mental health issues, 4% of the GDP across EU. And then I remember the aha moment for me was about 10 years ago when Dr. Richard Carmona, who is the 17th Surgeon General of the United States, he spoke at one of our summits. And when he said this, I was just aghast. He said that 75% of all the healthcare dollars in the United States are being spent on things that are preventable. which is why he decided no longer to be a physician in the regular system. He now works in the wellness world. So that was shocking, and having been now in this arena for all of my career, for 4 decades, I realized that the things that the businesses and practitioners in our wellness world were promoting, exercise, healthy nutrition, stress reduction, and the like, was really the answer to so many of these preventable problems. It was pretty easy to see why as the costs continued to increase for health, wellness became more popular. And as stress levels increased, wellness is continuing to increase in popularity. So let me go back now to share with you where the term wellness came from, since we did a whole study on that, and the reason, and then relate it to well-being and happiness. Many people forget that the term wellness was not widely used until about 10 years ago. In fact, I do believe it was after our 2010 research study on wellness, in which we shared the history of the term and suggested that using it going forward would strengthen and broaden the movement of people investing in their own health that help propel wellness to global notoriety. The first term, the first place we saw the actual written word wellness was back in 1961. It was a book written by Dr. Halbert Dunn. He called his book High Level Wellness. He was a medical doctor. And by the way, the word well-being has been around since the 1500s. After Dr. Dunn's book, we have Dr. Jack Travis, who was inspired by Dunn's vision, and then he created this illness-wellness continuum, and also opened the first clinic that he called the Wellness Resource Center in San Francisco. That was in 1970. And then the rest of the world, well, then we had wider visibility for the word. It was 1979 when Dr. Travis's work caught the attention of a popular television news magazine with a global audience, 60 Minutes. Dan Rather opened the 60 Minutes show with a big sign behind him. This is online, YouTube, you can go see it. It says wellness, and his exact opening words were wellness. Now there's a word you don't hear every day. It means exactly what you think it might mean, the opposite of illness. It would be many more decades before the use of the term wellness became widespread. I think it's worth noting here that the World Health Organization, the WHO, had come to a similar realization in 1948, almost 30 years before the emergence of the term wellness, about the importance of looking at health not just as the absence of disease. The WHO developed a powerful definition of health in the preamble to their constitution, which states, "Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity." So terminology and definitions are important. There are currently many different ways that people use the term wellness, well-being, and happiness. Some use them interchangeably. To me, that actually feels quite natural, that there is confusion about the definitions because we are still discussing something that is still fairly young. Over time, however, we are likely to see more consensus and adjustments will be happening. While terminology has always been important, it is even more important these days than in the past. I think that's for 2 reasons. One, first, we're having global conversations. So what was once okay in terms of a regional definition is now found lacking because the wellness industry is increasingly global. One example I'd like to point out, you might be familiar with this, is the increased usage of the term well-being here in the UAE versus the word positivity, which was more prominent several years ago. This seemed to be a natural and valuable evolution as the term well-being has become more broadly used globally. Secondly, the internet has made terminology decisions much more important than in the past. You're searching terms online and you're going to get results and rankings, and that matters a great deal depending on which terms you use. Just as one example, you've probably noticed that the term well-being is sometimes spelled with a hyphen and sometimes without a hyphen. So the question is, which one is correct? Well, it depends on who you ask, but let's see what happens when you do a Google search. I did this a few days ago, and what I found was that I got 5 billion results when I put in well-being with a hyphen, and I got 288 million results when I put well-being in without the hyphen. Well, that's quite a difference. It's also interesting to note which organizations are using which spelling predominantly. So with the hyphen, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, World Happiness Report, Oxford Dictionary. Without a hyphen, the World Government Summit, the Global Wellness Institute, so we're all on the same page, many publications in the UK, Hyatt Hotels Worldwide, and so forth. In summary, well-being with a hyphen seems to be the older term, with well-being no hyphen, a more recent term but growing steadily. Some argue that the hyphen takes away from the more holistic definition emerging for well-being, and others argue that well-being with a hyphen is more grammatically correct. I think it's safe to conclude that today both terms are accepted. Which brings us to the distinction between the terms wellness, well-being, and happiness that I was asked to discuss specifically here. In preparation, I decided to ask approximately 50 people, this is in the last 3 months, both lay and professionals, and from various countries, to share with me how they would define those 3 terms, and then to draw a diagram for me of how they see them relating to each other. I'm going to share with you just a few diagrams. As you can see, there is no consensus. In fact, no 2 people defined any of the terms the same way, and there was no agreement on the relationship between them. That is actually good news in my view, because it gives us a chance to be thoughtful, possibly even collaborating, and taking some more time to set the best course for the future. There were, however, a few trends that I feel are worth sharing, and I'm happy to share them. In general, people had a tendency to relate wellness more to physical health and well-being to more psychological health. That's something I saw quite often. And I also saw often that people were using wellness and well-being interchangeably. Now, allow me to share with you a model that fits with how I currently view the relationship. Perhaps it's a place for discussions to begin. The first one here is very simple. It's the wellness hierarchy. Wellness is the base and refers to tools that individuals select in their goal toward well-being and happiness. The well-being section could be considered goals that people or institutions are wanting to achieve, and at the top of the pyramid sits happiness, which is the ultimate outcome. The second diagram is a little more robust. It gives more content in each of the sectors. At the base is the $4.2 trillion wellness economy and things like yoga, meditation, etc. And the well-being level shows emotional well-being, physical, mental, spiritual, financial well-being, and so forth. The happiness level sits atop the pyramid, and the topics here could be hedonics, eudaimonia, flourishing, meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. I welcome your input on this model and have you share with me any model that you feel might be valuable. Now, what does this all mean to you as policy leaders? Already that's been discussed quite often here today. Bhutan, UAE, New Zealand, Wales, they're all doing things policy-wise. There's now 39 countries that have some kind of sugary beverage tax and taxes and smoking bans and so on. There's much more that can be done and needs to be done. And I'm going to just end by introducing something to you that we in the Wellness Network are doing, because we want to teach and motivate people to higher levels of vitality, health, and well-being, and to improve health outcomes. But we want to do it by inspiring people to get involved, and we have a tendency to make it enjoyable, understandable, and even fun. And so here is a photo of our Wellness Moonshot, a world free of preventable disease. It's a grassroots effort. It's inspired by President Kennedy's Moonshot speech in the early 60s. And we decided to launch a Wellness Moonshot with an equally audacious goal of eradicating preventable disease. We added some flair and fun and targeted it towards encouraging people to infuse a culture of wellness and well-being into their workplaces. So you can see we created a hanging mobile calendar consisting of 12 moons with a different topic each month and asked people to pledge their engagement. We asked them to display the hanging calendars, and we send monthly education information and fun ideas for activities. And we encourage them to host a special activity on the day of the full moon each month. So we already have hundreds of thousands of people involved, and I can tell the momentum is tremendous. So in closing, I want to let you know that our network of wellness enthusiasts and wellness professionals, we stand ready to collaborate with anyone here and everyone to further the ideal of wellness for all. Thank you very much.